Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially healthcare. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
With us today is Pierre Yared. Currently serves as the acting chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, which reports to the President of the United States. Well, Pierre, good to hear from you on a Sunday morning. Can you give us a background of how you think the economy did in 2025 under President Trump, and what are your thoughts about 2026?
Thanks for having me on, John. If you really look at it, the economy overperformed relative to all forecasts that we had both before the president was elected and right after. And in particular, if you look at the growth of GDP, the growth of incomes, the growth of money in everybody's pockets, that grew much faster than anyone could imagine. And also, that happened while the president was fixing a lot of the budgetary problems that we inherited, because when you think about it, the Biden administration left us with a fiscal mess, and through a set of policies involving tax cuts, tariffs, and deregulation, and in particular on energy, the president has been able to deliver supply-side growth combined with disinflation. Inflation has been coming down, and more money in everybody's pockets, because when you look at people's wages adjusted for inflation have been growing. They dropped by around $3,000 during the Biden administration, and they're up over $1,000 under President Trump. And so it looks very good, and I'm very optimistic about 2026.
In 2026, I had predicted 6 months ago that the Dow Jones would hit 50,000 by December of 2025. I think we came pretty close. How do you feel? You have all the tariff monies were coming in, but now you have a little bit of a problem with how they're going to handle the tariffs because of the Supreme Court ruling. So tell us, originally I projected 60,000 on a Dow for 2026. How do you feel? How do you think things are going to work themselves out?
Well, the market at the end of the day reflects market participants' attitudes about the present outlook as well as the future outlook, and the records on the stock market and the performance of the stock market is in fact reflecting a lot of the optimism that we see out there. And if you look at one measure of optimism, the CEO Optimism Index has recently climbed to some highs, and that's partly being borne out in the markets. If you look at the tariffs, which is what you asked about, it was disappointing, of course, for the president with the Supreme Court ruling. However, we're fully prepared to make adjustments. And as you know, a number of trade deals were had, and our trading partners want to preserve those deals. And there's a lot of other legal authorities that are awarded to the president for dealing with trading partners. And I'm confident, and we're confident, that those deals are in place, and a lot of the investment agreements in particular are going to result in a lot of investment happening in America over the next few years.
And President Trump has been advertising and talking about there's $18 trillion in new deals coming to America. So at a certain point, the manufacturing is just going to take off.
Well, one way you can track that right now is by looking at a lot of at the activity in non-residential construction, as well as the jobs in non-residential construction, which have been rising rapidly over the past few months. And so we're already seeing a lot of groundbreakings. We're already seeing a lot of imports of capital goods because, you need to import some of those materials from other countries if we're going to be building here. And as that manifests itself, we should be seeing an increase in manufacturing jobs. And what we have seen for sure in 2025 is an increase in manufacturing activity. When you look at various measures of industrial production, for example, those have been very healthy, very high. If you look at manufacturing wages, those have actually grown faster than the average wages, the average weekly wages. And in particular, they're even faster for the non-supervisory employees relative to the supervisors in manufacturing. So those manufacturing jobs are becoming better jobs, and that's compared to under the Biden administration, where those wages were actually going down in manufacturing. So manufacturing wages are up, and that's in part because of a productivity boom, because we're in fact able to get more out of all of our workers because President Trump is delivering on that promise of delivering a golden age for America.
Well, Pierre Yared, we'll correct that. Pierre Yared, thank you so much for coming on this Sunday morning, and please come on, maybe once a month and give us an update.
I'd be delighted to do that. Thanks for having me, John.
Thank you so much.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best of what our nation has to offer, especially health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families healthy. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.